All right, lots to discuss in this week's chapter of One Piece, so let's just get right into it. So now we're here. End of Rox's story, right? It's cool to see that Dami Reversi was defeated without the use of what we've been discussing in the community, I guess, right? Is the Gear 5 liberation system that might have been put into place. It's cool to see that that was not required and Garp and Roger were able to take it down with Hockey alone. Rox was able to, come back to his senses right before Garland came in and third partied the situation, which, by the way, you're Shanks' dad. Can we please get a cool fight for you? But that's beyond the point. Sad to see Rox go. I think we saw a little bit, a hint of a smile there from Rox, the D clan symbol of death. We saw a little smile from him. He thanks Garp and Roger, and great, and loved Rox as a character. 10 out of 10. We had like 12, 13 chapters with Rox, and he became one of the favorites for most of the community. Really cool to see that Scopper Gabon was the one that rescues Garp in this situation. Rayleigh and Scopper come in and save Roger and Garp. It's really cool to see this. Following all of that, we now officially get the destruction of God Valley. This is really cool. The wording that Oda uses, we can theorize a lot about this. So it's described as the collapse of God Valley was shrouded in deep mist and a massive lightning struck. Now, if you guys don't know, there's been these theories going around ever since we've gotten God Valley, and Rox's crew is there. Given where Rox's crew is at now in Thriller Bark, there's zombie bodies. People have theorized that does God Valley turn into Thriller Bark? Does Gecko Moria find the remains of God Valley and create his Thriller Bark ship island thing, right? And the fact that we get the deep mist and thunder wordings in this ending for God Valley, it reminds me of the Florian Triangle. And you leave your comments down below if you guys agree or not. I'm not really into the Thriller Bark as God Valley theory, but I do like it. I do enjoy it. I'd be happy if Oda goes that route, but not a die on this hill level of theory for me. But it is cool to see, so I would love to know what you guys think about that. After Roger recovers, we get an iconic panel that had yet to be drawn in the One Piece community. And this is funny because back in 2021, I believe, when Film Red was coming out, Oda had drawn a rough draft of the panel that we see today where Roger finds Shanks within the chest. And people took that rough draft and made the fan arts and stuff and the fan edits of Roger finding Shanks, and Roger had his, mustache and his hat and stuff. But now we get the official panel where Shanks is in the chest and it's younger Roger without the mustache, without the hat, and you find Shanks. So it's cool to see how something from 2021 finally gets its big reveal, but it's also cool to see that this has been an iconic panel for us. We're just getting the official one from Oda, and it's really cool. Now we get to why Garp was named the hero. This was something that I guess Morgans had stated. I don't think we knew this before. I think we had just assumed that the Marines gave him the title, or the Marines loved him so much for what he did in God Valley and they gave him that respect. But no, it was Morgan named Garp, Garp the Hero. This man Morgans has now named two Monkey D's as something great. Fifth Emperor of the Sea, Monkey D. Luffy, and now Garp the Hero. They did say maybe he was paid off, maybe he wasn't, but it's just cool to see that Morgan has had so much to do with the One Piece lore and so much to do with just everything that has resolved in the past and in the present. It's just great to see. We get a pretty scary panel of Sengoku now where he states that given that the world government and the Marines are such a grand organization, that if they were to do something insane, such as what happened with the lying and the swindling of news, he is willing to look the other way. This falls back into the conversation we had last week, right, with the propaganda, where he just spreads propaganda. Now that he is in the upper management level or the retirement level, he is the person who can bring in that fake news. He has that standing on these younger Marines, and he can give news and fake these newses and lie about it in order to provide that we are just. The Marines' justice is the right justice. Garp doesn't take this well, and obviously he sees this as a way that Sengoku's trying to climb the ladder in the Marines, and Sengoku sees Garp as someone who's just trying to stay at the bottom of the cliff. And this leads into a great interaction where when Garp is leaving, Sengoku asks if he's going to quit, and then Garp says, who else is going to look after the people at the bottom of the cliff? This is a phenomenal panel, I believe, because as we're getting the philosophy. These Navy people have had their own philosophies. Kizaru has it, Aokiji's had it, Fujitori's had it, and Akainu's had it. And it's great to see the philosophies, and what's his name, Green Bull. But it's great to see that the philosophies of Sengoku and Garp are coming into the story. Sengoku's all about, looking the other way and just making sure he maintains what we call the agenda in this community, right? But he just wants to maintain agendas. And Garp is someone who sees the benefits of the Marines, but also sees the corruption and wants to make sure that everything under his watch stays away from the corruption and always, does the right thing. And I guess the true Marine system, right? The what he saw to be the Marines. Let's not forget, this is the Loki flashback. And just like how we got Roger's journey in Odin's flashback, we got Rox's journey in Loki's flashback. So now it's time to reel it back to Loki's story. And Loki's getting the news, again, just kind of like the Odin story, right? Where Odin gets the news of Roger's death. Loki gets the news of Rox's death. And obviously, he's still a kid. He's not taking this well. I bet you if Loki was an adult, he wouldn't be taking it well either, because this was someone that he saw as his hero. And the best panel that comes out of this is the fact that Loki saw Rox as Nika. He thought that Rox was supposed to be the guy that brings the laughter and destruction to this world. He saw this man as that great hero or great liberator or whatever the Herald says, great destroyer. Now, I want to dive into this a little bit more because in this week's Weekly Shonen Jump magazine, we officially got the Rox color scheme. And, people have put blue hair into him, people have put black hair into him, many, just all the fan arts have put many different colors into his streaks in his hair. But in this week's chapter, we officially got it, and it's a blue and white hair color stream. And also, he has a purple lightning bolt scarish face mark. This is very intriguing. I originally, when I looked at it, I saw, whoa, that's white and purple, just like Gear 5. And then I was talking to people and they were like, no, that's white and blue. I turned up my brightness on the phone and it actually turned out to be blue. But, the color scheming is very interesting. Now, the white hair color, you can just bypass it as Rox is old. But let's not forget, Rox isn't too old. Not that we got a confirmation of age, but Rox is definitely not above the age of 50. And Katakuri was above the age of 50. And Sengoku, how old he was during the Fleet Admiral, he still had his hair, black hair and everything. But 2 year time skip later, he's graying. So people in One Piece, if they're not like super, super old, they don't have white hair. So Rox's natural hair color being white rather than being an old man with white hair is very interesting. And then the blue streaks involved with it, whether it is purplish blue or if it's just blue, ties into either Sun God or, as people have discussed previously, Buggy. And Buggy's an important topic in all of this because when Rox was first getting introduced to us, before Rox got introduced to us, I thought that Rox was going to be like a Buggy-like character that amassed these great pirates but was nothing himself. But turns out, Rox was the person who amassed all these pirates but was something himself, kind of like the opposite side of a Buggy situation. But then as we were getting these panels and stuff, the eyeball shape of Rox and the poster, the bounty poster is what did it. He has the same exact reaction image face as Buggy did for his wanted poster. So the blue hair streaks, not saying that he had just like, another kid with another woman, because I doubted this guy is a family man, it seems. I don't think he would go around having other kids with other women. But it is very interesting. This is mostly just inherited wills, because that is all about One Piece, right? It's just inherited wills. But it is cool to see that there's some level of connection, if not just like a lineage or like family DNA connection. Back to Loki reminiscing about Rox, though. He brings up Galliela. The reason why Rox wanted Herald on his crew is because he saw Herald as being someone who can control Galliela. This is very important because the wording of Galliela, it's not spelled the same because it's a little different, but Galliela, I think it should be pronounced as the same Galliela that we see in Water 7, the great shipwright team band that Rob Lucci and all of them, Iceberg, was a part of. So I think there's like a connection there if Galliela of Water 7 took inspiration from the Galliela of the Giants, but it is cool connections to see, especially if you go back and look at the Galliela. I'll put it up on the screen, but the Galliela logo is a Viking ship, so it's cool to see. I wonder where Tom and Iceberg and stuff got the name inspirations from. I want to see how they discovered about the Galliela band, but it is cool to see that there's lore being developed in this. Now we get these scenes from Herald and him just dealing with the grief of losing Rocks. And this is such a good thing because throughout this entire flashback, it was hard to tell if Herald actually liked Rocks. He called him a villain, he called him all these negative names, and he didn't want to team up with him in God Valley and such. But just seeing that he accepted Rocks as one of his friends was such a good moment because it's not the fact that he thought Rocks was a bad person. It was just the fact that he is so focused on making sure that the next generation of giants get to live a happy and peaceful life. But that resulted in the death of one of his best friends. It hurts to watch and it hurts to see because now he feels like he needs to carry on the same ideas he had. He lost his best friends because he had to keep doing this, and now he can't turn back. I've gone this far, I've caused this to happen, and I need to keep going. And given how Harold's story ends, it's just so sad to see. I think one of the best parts about this chapter, though, was this scene with Garp and Dragon. I think this is the first ever interaction we've ever gotten with the father and son talking to each other, and it is great. It is short, but it is so good. It is Dragon full of rage over what happened in God Valley and telling him, Dad, I'm quitting the Marines. And he's like, I know. Dad, also, I'm disgusted in you. And Garp, all he says is, I know. And leaves the key for him to escape. This is beautiful. Like, he didn't see it in himself. Garp didn't see it in himself to force his own son to carry on in this corrupted manner. As he is the man who's looking out for the bottom of the cliff people of the Marines, he still saw, no, Dragon cannot be a part of this anymore. He saw the disgust in the Marines and he wants out, he can be out. That's his choice. It's so good. And the fact that Dragon is able to stand up to his father and tell him, I'm disgusted in you, is so good as well because there's no holding back. And with that, I just cannot wait to see the future of One Piece with whatever Garp and Dragon end up doing because just their interaction alone when they come to face, I cannot wait to see what they have to say to each other. I bet you there's, is it Dad, you're still following the path you chose, or Son, I didn't think you would go down this path, or is it Dad, I'm sorry, I thought about this about you. It just, there's so much that could happen from this, and I'm so curious and to dive deeper into Dragon and Garp. Just probably won't get that anytime soon given how One Piece is, but still exciting stuff to look for in the future. And now we end the chapter off with Herald showing up at Marineford, ready to give his statement to whoever will hear him out, I guess, right? Because he doesn't know if Emu's there or not, and we don't know if Emu's there or not either. But he shows up at Marineford. Really cool to see, just the original Marineford, the Marineford that we know from the Paramount War, rather than the McDonald's HQ that we're used to today with the Big M Marineford. Shout out King Recon for that one. But it's really cool to see the original Marineford, Herald coming up into it, and they're saying, like, back up, you're not allowed to be here. And Herald just rips out the horns from his head. And what a powerful image from Oda here, ripping out the horns out of his head and declaring to whoever's willing to hear him out, which we know now Emu heard, but saying, I am here to atone for the sins of the giants. I want the future of the giants, the kids growing up and the parents now. I want them to have the beauty of life and the future that they deserve to live alongside humanity. And if that means I need to become a slave, I will become a slave. And what a quote from Herald. I cannot wait to see what happens with this. I doubt it's going to be like a permanent Domi Reversi from Emu, but just the lengths and levels in which Herald is willing to go to and just ripping out his horns. We knew he was going to do it, but just the level in which Oda showed it to us and the declaration he gave with it was such a great moment. I just can't wait to see where this goes. So I'm very curious on what Emu has to do with what's happening now. I mean, we can have some theories on what may or may not happen to Harold at the end of his life. The weird thing about all of this is that now that we see that, Harold has voiced his statement and Emu, wherever Emu is, probably back in Marjois, but, Emu hearing this, we know that the future of wherever Herald's life ends is when Loki is more of an adult, I guess. We don't really know Loki's true age in that beginning of the flashback, but we do know that Loki is not a kid anymore. He is more of what he looks like today. So I am wondering how long is Herald under the control of Emu or whatever Emu does? If it's like a Gunko situation or if it's like a Dami reverse situation, which I don't think is going to be the case. I think it's going to be more of a Gunko situation. But I am very curious to see where this goes and how long it takes until people realize, and we'll see what happens from there. All in all, just such a great chapter. I think the conclusion of God Valley was an amazing conclusion. I think the whole God Valley incident did not disappoint anyone. I think Rocks as a whole did not disappoint anyone. This was such a phenomenal journey to be a part of, and now I'm very excited to see where the Loki and Herald story goes. Now that we got the God Valley incident as a whole and Rox's whole journey as a whole, please comment down below and let me know what you guys think about all of this. I thought it was great, but I would love to know your guys' opinion as well and just the chapter as a whole. I try to keep most of this as the important stuff in the chapter and what I had to discuss about it, but if you think I forgot anything or missed anything, please let me know. I'd love to discuss that in the comments down below. And yeah, we have One Piece 1167 coming this Sunday, so no break. That's very exciting. So yeah, thanks guys. Thank you for watching, and please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.